Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 5 of your violin and viola journey. I would like us to start off our warm-up straight away with the bow. So can you please hold your bow in your right hand in rest position and your violin and viola in your left hand in rest position. On the screen you'll see there's the same diagram of how to hold your bow. It should be starting to feel a lot more natural now. It should feel a little bit more obvious what to do, but obviously you can go back to doing it step by step as many times as you need to for as long as you need to. Most important things are that everything is rounded and relaxed, that you've got a lot of movement here because it's so kind of relaxed that you're able to do that, that your thumb stays rounded and relaxed so that there is a hole there. That is really, really important. Okay, I want us to revisit the two main exercises I taught you last lesson. So the first one is the rainbow exercise. So can you please put your instrument in playing position? So you've gone through position 2 and position 3, and then you're placing your bow on the top string. So violins, that's your E string, violas, that is your A string, right at the tip of the bow. Remembering, of course, that your bow should be halfway between the bridge and the fingerboard, and that we're aiming for it to stay in a straight line the whole time. Okay, now I'm not going to count us in for this because really you should only be moving on to the next string when your arm reaches the correct height. It should kind of do the job for you. You shouldn't really be thinking about moving on to a different string. You should be thinking about your arm going continuously in that direction and then continuously back. Okay, so here we go, starting on your top string at the tip. Ready and go. And back. Now, all I will say is that gravity will take over on your down bow, and you'll feel as though because your arm's coming down, the weight of that will force it to go a little bit quicker. So at that point, you can be a little bit more aware, and you can just try and keep it at the same sort of tempo, the same kind of speed. We just try that again, still quite slow. Ready and go. Okay, now let's try sort of medium speed one, so a little bit more speed, so you'll need to be moving your arm a bit more quickly, but still trying to keep things nice and even in terms of the sound. Starting at the tip of the bow, ready and go. Now you'll notice that on your E string if you're on a violin, or your A string if you're on a viola, there's a little bit more space left at the end. That's absolutely fine. It just takes as long as it takes at this stage. Okay, let's try one that's a little bit more fast this time. Ready and go. Very good. And this time, let's try it counting along. So I'll count us in after 4, and I want us to try and have one beat on each string. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. And into rest position. Fantastic. So as I said last lesson, starting each practice session with that exercise will really help you to become really familiar with the sound that you can make on your instrument using your bow. The next exercise that we used was to do with finding that really nice sound that we want to be using for all of our pieces. So I would like to sort of switch it up a little bit, and this time I'm going to play 4 notes, you're going to play them back, and I'm going to make a particular type of sound and I want you to try and match it. Here we go, me first. Now me again. Now you. Me. You. Me. You. Not bad. This time I'm going to start on the A string and I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to try and do the really light, airy, whispery sound. So here we go. Me. You. Me. You. You. Me. You. Good. good. Okay, now let's try and find that really nice middle ground sound, the one that we like, the one that we want to keep. I'll start on the A string this time. You, me, you, me, you, me, you. Very good, well done. Now using that sound, let's try and keep that in our minds, let's try and keep that in our ears. Using that nice sound, I want us to perform Sailing Home, which is the piece that we looked at last lesson and that I asked you to practice. So you should be used to playing it along to the backing track now. So I think we can just go straight in with a performance. So remembering that the very first note you play is a D. So violins, that is the second string from the left. Violas, that is the third string from the left. And that we play the whole thing through all the way to the end. And then of course we jump straight back to the start to play the first two lines again. All right, let's give this a go with the backing track, a performance. Okay, instruments up. Ready to go all the way to the tip. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent, well done. What a good start to the lesson. It's really important, by the way, that at the end of playing, at the end of performing, we go gently into rest position and we don't relax until the music's finished. It's almost like you're casting a magic spell, and the only way to break it is for you to be the first one who relaxes. Because that's what happens when we perform music. We're communicating something really, really special. We want to draw everybody into this so that they can share this beautiful music. And we are the ones that tell the audience when it's over. That's quite a power to have. So we're the ones that determine when it finishes. So rest position, and then you can relax when you think the music is finished and when you think you've held their attention for long enough. Right, keep Sailing Home in mind. That's still part of our sort of collection of pieces that we're looking at. But you've done so well that we're going to move on to the next piece, which is On Top of Old Smokey. So we're skipping out number 6 in our Vermouche books, and we're going straight ahead to On Top of Old Smokey. Now, with this piece, it's very, very different. It's shorter notes, and we've got different techniques to be thinking about. The first thing I want to draw your attention to before we look at the actual music is the instruction underneath the notes, which reads staccato, staccato. And as you can see, that means that we play it really short. The dots on the notes tell us that it's staccato and tells us that the notes should be quite short. So we're still using our bow, but we're making the notes short. So instead of this, I'll start on the G string. Instead of this, we want to stop the bow to make them short, like this. Okay, now that's kind of an extreme version, but I want to try it. I play a rhythm staccato, and you play it back on the G string. Have a listen. Now you. Now me. You. Now me. You. Me. You. Good. So we're not trying to get a scratchy sound, but we are trying to get the notes really, really short. Now, in the music, after we've played some notes, we have got a ma, we've got a rest. Now we know that that means absence of sound, no sound at all. But on our violins and violas, it's also an opportunity for us to do something called a retake with our bow. And that happens when we play something and then we lift the bow off and do a circle, so that we end up doing another down bow. We're doing a down bow followed by another down bow. But if we didn't do the retake, we'd very quickly just run out of bow. So the retake allows us to use the same amount of bow. Just join in with me on a G string. So because it's a G string, think of our rainbow exercise. Our right arm should be quite high. And I just want us to do a few circles. There should be a sort of anti-clockwise circle. So playing a note, lift the bow, circle it back, play it again. Lift the bow, down, up and round, down, up and round. That's what's a retake. So down, retake, down, retake. Now, when we're landing the bow back after a retake, we want to avoid a crash landing. We've got to prepare the landing, just like you would if you were a pilot landing a plane. We want to make sure that we're not landing with a crash or with a scratch or with a crunch. So you'll notice that when I'm landing my bow, I'm basically doing a retake. I'm then landing on the string before I restart the sound. If I didn't do that, there's more of a risk of it scratching a little bit like this. It just sounds a little bit more aggressive. So let's prepare it carefully. So down bow, retake, land, down, retake, land, down, retake, land, down. Good. Can we now try doing 3 notes and then a retake like this? Down, up, down, retake, land, down, up, down, retake, land, down, retake, land, retake, land. Can we now do exactly the same thing, but this time make the notes that we play staccato, really short? So like this, I'll play it once and then you join me. Retake, land. Retake, land. Retake, land. And then what you can do is you can gradually speed up the retake like this. So you're getting back to your starting position really quickly. So that's something that we can practice before we even look at this piece. And once we've mastered that retake, we know that in the ma, that's when we're going to do the retake. So very quickly, I'm going to give you 10 seconds. I would like you to look at the piece of music and I want you to think just about the kadai sounds, including the ma. So the kadai sounds, including the ma. One hint, it changes on the second line. 10 seconds, off you go. Okay, here we go. Let's give it a go. After 4, let's say the kadai sounds together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ta. Very, very good. And it does say at the end that we would repeat it 3 times, which we will do when we play it. Okay, second stage of the practice routine, saying the notes. 10 seconds, figure out what the notes are, off you go. Okay, let's say the notes together. This time when it says ma, instead of saying ma, I would like us to say retake, just so we're really solidifying in our mind what processes we're going to go through when we're playing it. So saying the notes, but in the rest, we're going to say retake instead of ma. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, G, G. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. A, A, A. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. G, retake. G, G, D. Retake. D, D, A, 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 D. Now in that last bar, we don't do 3 retakes without any notes. In that last bar, that just gives us an extra bit of time to get our bow ready to start the piece again. Okay, this time, let's say the notes and pizzicato. So put the bow to one side. We're still going to say retake in the rests, apart from the last 3, just so we know what we're doing. Okay, so instruments up and ready. L ready, thumb on the corner of the fingerboard. And our finger needs to be all the way over onto the G string for the start. Here we go, after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 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 retake. D, 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 retake. A, retake. D, 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 retake. G, retake. G, G, D, retake. D, D, D. Fantastic. And at that point, we would go back to the beginning to repeat it. Okay, this time we're going to play it. So get your bows, check your bow hold, check everything's rounded and relaxed. Place your bow on the G string. So remembering our rainbow exercise, our arm needs to be relatively high. Don't forget it's staccato, so we're looking for short bows, and we're going to retake in the middle. Let's try and say the notes while we play it this time. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, G, G. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. 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 Then we go back to the beginning and G, G, G. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. Retake. D, D, D. Retake. 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 Back to the beginning for the last time and retake. 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 Next line. Retake. Retake. Into rest position. Fantastic, well done. It goes quite quickly in the backing track, so I'm going to suggest that you do some practice on your own, but before that I want to show you what it sounds like with the backing track. What I'd like you to do is I'd actually just like you to watch and listen to me playing it, but I would like you to sing along with the notes and with the retakes so you can help me out because it goes quite quickly. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, and G, G, retake, 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 retake. Back to the beginning. You get a nice rest. 2, 3, and retake, 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 retake. Back to the beginning again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, and retake, 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 retake. I told you it was fast. You almost feel out of breath at the end of it. So it's a lot faster than what we were practicing, but it is absolutely doable if you go through those stages of the retake. So I'd like you to really think about what we've covered in today's lesson and take it into your practice so that when you feel really comfortable with the retakes and with the notes, you can have a go at playing it along to the backing track. And we'll also have a look at that next lesson.